Hello everyone, welcome to Knowledge India once again. In this particular tutorial, we are going to talk about KMS, Key Management Service, which is a wonderful and really important service of AWS. We use the service in order to, generate keys, and these keys are used for further encryption of your data. So in this particular tutorial, I'll first explain you that what all different types of encryptions are possible, and then we will go ahead and talk about different type of keys which are supported by AWS KMS service, which are customer master key and data key. So we'll understand the difference between them. We'll see that how do they come together and work and all of such things, right? I'll also show you how can you create your own how can you go ahead and create your own customer master key, and how can you generate a data key as well. All right, so with that, we'll get started. I request you to please subscribe to our channel in case you have not done it already, and press the bell icon so that you continue to get all the updates. All right, let's go ahead. So now first thing is the types of encryption. As you can see, there are two types of encryption which are possible. Um, for those of you who are just reading this for the first time, let's understand it. It's very simple. So suppose you have a plain text, right? For example, your password, right? So the password, if you type normally, that's the plain text. When you go ahead and encrypt it, basically you make it unreadable so that nobody can look at it and guess, right? So you make it unreadable, or nobody will be able to understand it. So that's your cipher text, or basically the encrypted data. That's what is being shown on the screen as well now. So in case of symmetric encryption, what happens is the key which you use to encrypt the data, same key is used to decrypt the data as well, right? So that's because that's why the name is symmetric. So same key is being used for encryption and decryption both. Whereas in case of asymmetric encryption, what happens is there are two keys, right? So you use the public key to encrypt the data, and then there will be private or secret key which you will use to decrypt the data. Now there are different algorithms, for both of these encryption types. I have given some of the names here as well. If you look at AES, which is this is one of the really acceptable one. Um, uh, a lot of people use this in the industry, and AWS also follows AES at most of the places. So that's a symmetric encryption. And as we go forward and we'll look at KMS, please understand that KMS supports symmetric encryption. It doesn't support asymmetric. On the right hand side, you can see the algorithms like RSA, elliptic curve techniques, all those are asymmetric encryption. Anyway, so we understand that we are talking about symmetric encryption here, which means as we move forward and wherever we are talking, you will see that a key which has been used to encrypt some data, the same key would be used to decrypt the data as well. All right, great. Now, let's talk about different type of keys which are supported by KMS. Now, there are two types of keys, right? First one is master key or customer master key, you can say, but let's understand first as master key because there are further types, of course, within that, right? So, master key is one. It is a key which never leaves KMS system, right? So as you have looked at different AWS services, and all the AWS different services, they expose APIs for you, so you can call that API and you can do different operations. For example, uh, if we talk about S3, right? So in case of S3, there is an API put object. You can using that API you can store an object or store a file onto your S3 bucket. In the same way, KMS also exposes a lot of different APIs. You have an API with which you can go ahead and create a new master key. You've got an API which you can use to basically use this master key to do some encryption and decryption, right? So those APIs are also available. So we'll talk about that. So, but essentially, master key is a key which remains in KMS always. It never leaves KMS. So you cannot actually see the value of your master key. You cannot see that value, right? You just create it, give it some name. You would be knowing it with some ID, but you'll not be able to see the content of that key ever. So how do you use it? So the way we use it is that we call APIs, encrypt and decrypt API or CLI command, and we pass the text which we want to encrypt or which we want to decrypt using this particular key. I will show you an example as well after some time that how can you do that. So uh, now it's up to us that for what purpose do we use it. Uh, we can go ahead and use a master key for just encrypting or decrypting certain text data, but understand that the size of that chunk cannot be more than 4 kilobytes. That you need to remember, right? So typically, if you see within this AWS whole encryption, the way it works is master keys are used to just encrypt the data keys. Now, data keys are the next set of keys which actually leave KMS, right? Now, please don't get confused. Many times people find it difficult to understand, and I will try to make sure that you understand the difference between two along with the proper example in this tutorial. So please hold on there. Understand both the master key and the data key, both of them support symmetric encryption, and hence, uh, you will have one key which will be used for encryption and decryption both. So the key difference between the two is that master key never leaves the KMS system, whereas data key leaves it. So data key is the one which is actually used for encryption of your data. Let's take an example. If you remember, you can go ahead and actually encrypt your EBS volume. So while launching your AWS EC2 instance, uh, on the storage step where you add EBS volumes, you have an option to just do a check and say that this volume would be encrypted. Now, when you say a volume would be encrypted, the data which is there on that volume gets encrypted using a data key. Understand that, okay? Now, let's move forward. I was telling you that within master key, there are two types of things, right? So customer master key are of two types. One is AWS managed customer master key, and second is customer managed customer master key. What's the difference between two? Some of that you'll get from the name itself. But the important thing is AWS managed customer master key would be created automatically, for a particular service. For example, let me show you something. So here in my console, you can see I'm there in the IAM window. So you can log into your AWS console, go to IAM, and there on the left hand side, press on encryption keys. So you'll get to see what all keys are there in your account. Now let's understand one thing. What is the scope of a particular key? The scope of a key is always region. The keys which you are seeing here, two keys are available, are there in North Virginia region. Okay, please understand that. Though because IAM as such is global, right? All of us understand that, and for some reason, all the keys are shown here itself. They have not created a separate dashboard for it, and hence at the top, global continues to come. But you see, within this KMS dashboard or in this area, you have a filter of region, right? So every key has a scope of region. You can also confirm it by going to this. So like this my key is one which I have created. Now here, please see the difference. You will also remember this based on the policies. If you remember, in case of IAM policies, you used to get this orange symbol for all the policies which have been written by AWS for you. Same way this as well. So this is an AWS managed customer master key. This is something which I have created. So it is customer managed, right? What's the difference? We'll talk about it. First, look at the naming convention. The alias of all the AWS managed keys would be like AWS slash name of the service. So this particular key is getting used for code commit service, right? Same way you can have for S3, you can have for Redshift, for different services, you can have such keys, right? Whereas the key which you create, you'll be able to give name to it, right? And you can go ahead and create multiple keys. Understand when you create keys, you get charged. I'll just show you quickly about the pricing as well. So I have created this key. Let me click here and show you some of its properties. So you can see that the ARN of this particular key, ARN AWS KMS US East one. So of course this key belongs to North Virginia. This is the account number, then key, and here is the ID. This is the unique ID of the key. So I was telling you, right, that when you create a key, you cannot see the content of the key. Don't confuse it with the content. This is just an ID, an auto-generated unique ID for you to recognize it. Okay. All right. So as you can see, let me minimize this and go back here. So here are a few differences uh, that between AWS managed and customer managed. In case of AWS managed, look at the rotation. The key gets rotated every 3 years, whereas in case of customer managed, it happens every 1 year, right? But you need to say that you want it to be rotated, because some customers might not want, though it's a good practice to of course rotate the customer master key at regular interval. So you can opt for it, right? You can go ahead and opt for it. You can go ahead and, for example, if you look at this details, you can go here down and you see there's an option of key rotation. You can just rotate this key everywhere and you can choose for it, right? So if you opt, then every year it gets rotated. So what is meant by rotation? Let's say with rotation, what it means is whatever is the content of the key, that content changes, right? Now it would be a very, it would be a comparatively big text and very difficult to memorize, auto-generated type of text it is. So that gets changed every year. All right, so of course, in case of AWS managed customer master key, these are there for certain services, typically those AWS services which support encryption. For those you will have AWS managed customer master key, whereas customer managed, you can just go ahead and create it, and then using APIs you can use for anything you want. It's up to you, right? So those are the things. Of course, both of them get governed by IAM, because you have to call APIs or AWS actions. So both of them do get controlled via IAM policy. So somebody who doesn't have access, right, whom you have not given IAM permissions, will not be able to call or use your keys, right? That's very important thing, and hence your customer master keys are secure. You have to just make sure that you put the permissions properly. But if you're putting the permissions properly, you can have a very good hold, and nobody can just go ahead and use it unnecessary. All right, moving forward, it's important to understand some of these concepts first, because people do get confused at times. So I'm just trying to build these concepts quickly and then show you with an example that how things work, and then I'll also try to show you some encryption and decryption using CLI. With an example, I'll try to show you that. So I think we understood. Think of a scenario. Let's take a scenario. Within one region, let's say in North Virginia, you have got an EC2 instance. It has, so there are 3 EC2 instances running. You have got an S3 bucket which is getting used. You also have got, let's say, RDS instance or Redshift cluster or Redshift database which you are using, right? So this many things you are using within North Virginia. Now, what you can do is, what is recommended? It is recommended that you should use different data keys for the encryption of data on all the service. That's what is recommended, right? You should try not to reuse the data key across different services. The customer master key, that's kind of your choice. You may choose to have the same customer master key and generate the data key from the same customer master key for all of the services, or you may choose to have different customer master key as well. That's your choice. I will show you that how you can go ahead and from a customer master key you can generate a data key. I will show you that. right? So just in a while, I'll show you. There was very simple API call with which you can do that. So what are the benefits of using KMS? Of course, it's a very much managed service, and as I told you that because you are interacting via API calls, so you can control that who will have access to your keys. You can specify using IAM permissions. Also at the key level, you can specify the policies. You remember, I hope you guys remember how the permission works in case of S3. In case of S3, even at IAM level, you can specify the permission. In addition to that, at S3 level also, we have bucket policy. Same way, guys, in case of KMS, at every key level, also you can go ahead and specify. Let me show you that. So here, for my key, if you see, key policy is there. So here I can go ahead and add the IAM roles or users who can actually have access to this, right? So if you go ahead and say add, you'll be able to see different users and roles which are there, and you can go ahead and choose and say these users or these roles would be able to use this particular key. So you can do that, right? And the good part is because moving forward when you will be using these keys or your different users use this key, they will be calling APIs and everything will get logged in CloudTrail. So you'll be able to see that who did what. Okay. So there's also an additional thing that it is also possible to allow that your key gets used by an external account. When we say external account, via an external AWS account. So it's possible. Suppose within your organization, you have multiple accounts, right? Account 1, account 2, account 3. So it's possible that your key is created in account 1 and you set up the permission on your key 1 in such a manner that from account 2 also users can use it. How will you do that? So here if you uh, see there are two things, right? Key administrators and key users. So in key users, you can go ahead and add an external account. You have to just say add external account, put the 12-digit account ID here, and that will expose this key to that particular account. Now, in that particular account, right, in that account 2, who all would be able to use this key? That has to be controlled by the administrator there, right? Let's say there are 5 different users in the account 2. So the administrator in the account 2 should set up the permissions in such a manner that 2 of them might be able to use this key. Some 3 other would not be able to use this key, right? And I hope you remember how to write IAM permissions. So in the resource section, you'll be able to specify the ARN of this key while you are writing the policies there. All right. Okay, let me minimize this. So that's good stuff because you will be able to track everything. Everything will get logged into CloudTrail log. So when you go there, you can see that what action was called, who had called that, on what resource this was done, and things like that, which particular key was used and everything. And that will give you a very good idea that what is happening. So these were some of the basics. Now let's go to something more important. Now let me try to explain you a complete flow that how things work, right? So that whatever we talked till now, everything will fall into perspective. So I told you that customer master key never leaves KMS system. Now think of a scenario that there is some data which you have an EC2 instance, and the with the EC2 instance, the EBS volume which is there, that you are encrypting, right? So in order to encrypt that, you need a data key, right? So how the flow would be? First of all, you need to have a data key generated. So there is an API call. I will show you how you can go ahead and use that API call to generate the data key. Now, because in case of EBS, it happens automatically. So you don't have to go and manually say that, okay, generate a data key. Rather, AWS does it for you. All you have to do is just say that which customer master key would be used, and then generation of data key is handled by AWS automatically. Okay. But I'll show you the API which you can use to generate the data key. In case you want to use in one of your application, you can use that method. All right. So what happens is, first of all, from the customer master key, a data key gets generated. Now, when this data key gets generated, there will be two formats of this data key. One will be in plain text and one will be encrypted. And there is usage of both. I'll explain you how. The plain one, the plain text which has come, right, or the plain key which has come, non-encrypted data key, let's call it very clearly, the non-encrypted data key which is there in the plain format, that key will be used to further encrypt the data, right? So that encryption would be done, and then this plain text or basically the plain key would be deleted, right? But the encrypted form of the key would be kept along with the data, right? So please see here, we got a data key generated, right? And using this data key, we encrypted the data. Whatever our plain text was there, whatever data which we want to encrypt, that data was encrypted using the data key. Now this data key, this is there in the plain format, readable format. So our data got encrypted, right? Whatever data is there on the EBS volumes that got encrypted. So that will be saved. In addition to that, along with that encrypted data, the key which was used to encrypt this data would also be saved, but it would not be saved in plain format. It would be saved in encrypted format. Okay, so that's what is happening in the parallel. You see, I'll show you that when we generate the data key, we will get. I told you we'll get in the plain format. We'll also get in the encrypted format. So how does the encryption happen? Basically, the data key would be encrypted using the customer master key. So here is the encrypted format of that data key. And this encrypted data key would be stored along with the encrypted data. Why is it important? It is important because later on, later on, when this data needs to be decrypted, right? Later on, when this data needs to be decrypted, system should get to know, right, that using what key I would be able to decrypt. Now, because we have saved that key here, though in a secure manner, in an encrypted format, we have saved it, that key will be picked up first. Now this encrypted data key will be decrypted, and we'll have the plain format of the data key. Then using that plain format of the data key, we will be able to decrypt the actual data in which we are interested. Okay, so that's how it works. Now let me show you quickly a few more things. So this is a real good link. I'll request you guys to go ahead and read this. I'll put this in the description below. So if you see, when you try to generate, from customer master key, when you try to generate data key, you get plain format data key or plain text, and you also get encrypted one. This is what I was explaining you here, right? And sorry. Now, so understand that plain format of the data key will be used for encryption, and later on it will be used for decryption also. But for storing the key along with the data, storing the data key along with the encrypted data, we should not be storing the plain format. So that's why the encrypted one which we got, that gets saved here. Okay. So what is envelope encryption? Whatever we talked, if you try to visualize what is happening, we have the data key stored along with the data in EBS, right? Now this data key is encrypted using master key, right? So if somebody wants to actually decrypt the data in the EBS, it has to do two steps. First, the data key has to be decrypted, then plain format of data key will be available. Then this plain format of data key has to be used to further decrypt the data which is there in the EBS. So this is just like one level hierarchy we talked. If we want, we can keep chaining this and we can build multiple hierarchies like this. But the top level thing, the top level master key has to be there in plain text. And that is the reason why the master key never leaves KMS. because nobody should know that, right? So it never leaves KMS. The only way we use master key is by calling API and saying that, okay, this text we are sending, please encrypt it or decrypt it. Okay, so I hope you get that. Let me show you something quickly. So here is generate data without plain text and generate data key. So let me explain you this, right? So I was telling you, from a customer master key, you can go ahead and generate data key. How is it done? So here's the API call for that. Let me quickly open the CLI so that I can show you the example using CLI. So generate data key is the command, and you need to give the key ID. So let me go ahead and try to do this. So I have already configured the CLI, and the user which is configured here is admin, but so of course he will be able to execute everything. Uh, if you want, go ahead and create an IAM user. Make sure that you give access to that particular IAM user for your key here. Um, Here in the user and in the administrator also you can give, so that you can also specify permission, etc. Anyway, so AWS KMS generate data key key ID. So let me key ID I need to pick, so I should go here, pick this ARN and paste it here and press enter. So now I should get, oh, okay. So we also need to say the, what standard you are following. Basically, you need to say in the key spec, you need to say whether you want a 256 bit or you want 128 bit, the size basically. So let us just run it again and say AES underscore 256. Now if we run this, we should ideally get it. All right, so you can see plain text. So this is our data key, guys. This is our data key. So you can see the plain text is this much big. This is our, in the plain format, this is our data key. And in the encrypted format, this much big. And which key has been used? The same thing which we passed. Basically, the customer master key ID is the key ID. So using this customer master key, we created a data key. We can just go ahead and run this again, right? See here. So a new data key will be generated. So as you can see, 2HHY, WJU, and things like that. So these are the, this is how you can go ahead and create data keys. Now, if you want to use this data key in some of your application, you can go ahead and call the API and generate this and then make use of it. For the services which are AWS managed like S3 or EBS or other services, when KMS related encryption happens, this generation of data key happens automatically. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to tell in the AWS console is that which customer master key should be used to do the encryption. That's it. All right, so I will also show you, some more demo around this, but we will do that in next tutorial. So please keep watching, subscribe to the channel, and please share it with your friends if you are liking it. Thanks a lot. Keep supporting by sharing. Bye-bye. See you again. You are watching this video on Knowledge India. We request you to subscribe to our channel and press this bell icon so that you can get updates regarding all our upcoming videos. You can also go ahead and look at our playlists where you can find different videos related to certifications. If you have any query or request, go ahead and post it at the community tab. Thanks for watching. See you.